What is something your parents did with you that you'll never do if you have kids? I sat in the car once when my dad robbed a coin store. I was about 6 or 7. I probably won't rob coin stores with or without my kid. Compare them to any other child they know when it comes to academics or behavior and the like. Take an adult's wordless canon without getting my child's side of it too. Make them wonder when their next meal will be. One time, when things were really bad between my parents, I tried to sort things out between them, which was never my responsibility. I now recognize, and my mom thought that I was siding with my dad. This was 3 weeks before major exams in high school, and my parents know that I get extremely anxious over exams. My mom went to bed really early and locked the door. I cried myself to sleep that night, and when I woke up the next morning I went to ask my mom if she wanted breakfast. She didn't answer me. I knocked and called, but she wouldn't answer. I called my family down and instantly started bawling, crying as I feared the worst. I honestly believed that my mom had killed herself, as the last several days had been so turbulent. My dad came downstairs and started to try to open the door. No noise was coming from the room still. He started pounding on the door. I will never forget him saying over and over to my mom, "You're scaring your kids. You better not have done something stupid." And all I could do was cry. Finally, my mom spoke up and told us to go away. I will never, ever do anything like this to my kids, make them believe that I have killed myself in order to make them feel guilty. I will never, ever let my marriage get to a point so bad that it hurts my kids. I will never get over this. It replays in my head all the time. Ro, please tell me she somehow acknowledged how traumatic that was for you. I will never get into a yelling match with my spouse in front of them. When my wife and I disagree, we solve it calmly and civil. My parents used to escalate, yelling at each other and even throwing things. I believe it contributed to my anxiety that has taken me years to learn how to curb. My parents are great for the most part, and they did a lot of things right. We get along well now. I call them multiple times per week as I now live out of state, but they never, and have never, told my sister or I that they loved us. They also never hugged us or kissed us or really complimented us at all. As a result, I have gone overboard with my 3-year-old daughter. She gets told she is loved constantly and is smothered with hugs and kisses throughout the day. I am probably messing her up, and in 10 years she will be complaining about my parenting choices. You can never tell someone that they are loved too much. Read their diary. I was acting out in the usual way teenagers do, and my mom felt this justified pulling out my diary and screaming the contents of it back to me. Many years on, and I really struggle to forgive her for this. That's the kind of crap that gives people major trust issues down the road. Well, I'll be getting my kids vaccinated for starters. I had swine flu cause I never got vaccinated. Jokes on my mom though, cause they quarantined my entire family for 5 weeks LMAO. Having to constantly put down their kids, stating they will never amount to anything because the golden child will do it better. Not me personally, but this happened to my wife. No matter what milestone she achieves in her life, there they go and have to make it about their favorite child. Wife graduated from college. Parents didn't attend. Son graduates with GED. They fly across US and throw a party and invite everyone. We buy a house. No response or visit from in-laws. But GC buys a new vehicle. There they go again. I can go on about other things. It's just really infuriating to me since they constantly need help with money, bad gambling addiction and hoarding. They don't bother to ask their GC because he is across the US, but they don't blink twice to ask us for money. I'm sorry for my rant, just needed to get this off my chest. Quite a lot of time, it seems the golden child is less successful in adulthood. Fill the house with crap instead of paying the mortgage, so we wind up living in a motel for 6 months. The motel cannot live at the motel. I'm someone with severe anxiety and I would often get panic attacks. Instead of trying to help me, my parents would yell at me and order me to behave, which, of course, only made me panic even more. They thought I was doing it on purpose. I was simply scared. All I needed was their protection. I needed to be comforted, to be told everything was okay, but I got nothing of that. I was on my own. Always. I've learned to not trust anyone or rely on anyone for help. That's been my life for the past 16 years. The best part about it, though, Happened about a month ago. My sister had a panic attack and instead of yelling at her to calm down and behave, they immediately rushed to help her and fix what was wrong. It really kinda sucked being able to see very clear evidence of preference like that. Have freaking 6 of them and only 1 bathroom. Get mad at every stupid thing. More so my mom because my dad was working his balls off all the time. Humiliate us for every mistake by calling everyone and telling them about it. Mom again. Never treating us like adults. I'm 25 and still get yelled at. Luckily being an adult also means I can tell them to frick off and hang up on them. Humiliate us for every mistake by calling everyone and telling them about it. Mom again. Crap, you just made me realize why I don't tell my mum frick all about anything going on in my life. She has been doing this unintentionally all my life. Gossip with work friends over the phone at night. Another thing to bring up with the psychologist next time I see him. I don't personally want kids of my own, but I try to help kids make friends. Because growing up my mom never really let me have friends for myself. I saw kids go over each other's houses, make plans, and go through with them without parental interference. Meanwhile I visited a friend's house growing up once. Nicest people, welcomed me in. On the way there my mom just keeps drilling me to be proper, to be quiet, to behave. Don't play around. If the kids start playing, tell them to behave and be quiet. You're the oldest among them so you have to take responsibility. So 3 hours and both my friends are playing in my friend's room, having fun roughing around like kids do. Shoes off, shirts untucked and I'm sitting in front of the TV in my polo shirt and black shoes playing DBZ Beauty by myself trying not to get in trouble, which never happened. The anxiety about how to handle friendships, how to make new friends when inevitably my old friends moved on. How to behave ate me up so much throughout elementary and middle school that by high school I was the weird quiet kid that had like 3 friends and no acquaintances. Friends are really important to being a kid. I think I have anxiety about getting older all my life due to not having a childhood to share. Now that childhood is gone and it was spent in my bedroom with my toys and my video games and me alone. I think sharing is a part of being a kid too. And being unable to share your stuff and your interests really hampers your growth as a person. I had no friends as a child. To say the emotional pain was severe is a cosmic understatement. The after effects have lasted a lifetime and will never go away. My mom used to lie to me to avoid explain things to me. For example, Saturday afternoon we are passing the toy store. Mom, can we go to the toy store? No, it's closed. Oh, that's queer. It's 2 PM on a Saturday. There were people outside the store and inside the store. How is it closed? A simple, no we can't today because we are going somewhere and are late. But if you are good maybe we can go tomorrow. My mom did this. It's the worst. Hand her a book instead of taking her to the gynecologist. It wasn't even a decent book. I discovered I had a hole down there when it came time to install a tampon so I could go swimming. I guess you could say the Tampax instruction booklet was my introduction into the world of womanhood. If my partner is totally losing it and screaming at the kids, or otherwise abusing them, I will step in to protect the kids no matter how badly they behave to trigger the reaction or if they beg me not to, as I did. I'm sorry, but little kids don't get to decide whether the other parent intervenes in those situations. The power differential between a little kid and a parent is just too big and they need an ally to balance the situation. Obviously, I would also never go apeshit on my kids, either, but that one is pretty obvious. My mom read the texts between me and my girlfriend when I was 13. The dirty crazy childish crap she had to read, and the anger I felt. Big mistake. Not sure if I can ever forgive her. She went on and told aunts and uncles about it and I got bullied by my cousins. My mother locked me in my bedroom a couple times when I was acting up. I was around 6 to 8 years old, I think. It only made me freak out more as I hated being in a small space that I couldn't get out of. I had metal Tonka trucks in my room with me. I used them to break that freaking door down. Frick that crap. If your child is upset or something, try talking to them. Don't just lock them in a freaking room. Tell my kids the pet went to visit the farm or is just downstairs. Go look for him when really the pet is dead. When I was about 8, My aunt moved to a city where she wouldn't be able to take her chickens with her. I was told that her family had a farm upstate where the chickens would live. I saw through this immediately, but didn't say anything so as not to upset my 5-year-old sister. 10 years later, I found out that her family actually does own a farm upstate, and the chickens actually did go there. Won't ground them for a month for discovering they looked at pee for the first time. Because I said so, I may tell my kids that it's not something I can explain to them right now and they'll just have to trust me as a parent, but I will never tell them the reason for anything just because I say so. Both of my parents are unsociable, antisocial. To this day, me and my siblings have trouble socializing with people. In fact, I'm the only person in family has better social life because I left the family when I was very young, but not as good as others I'm seeing. I'll be sure my kids learn that the right way, no matter how difficult it is for me to teach them. Some people can be very kind and helpful in many ways. They helped me when I had nobody in my life. Live together, die alone. I wish you all the best for you and your kid. It's the same in my family, but I'm slowly trying to reverse the trend just by having more and more phone calls or meals with them, no matter how awkward the conversation gets sometimes. Join a cult religion. Throw shade. Whenever my dad got off the phone with a client, he'd call the guy an idiot. This taught me people are two-faced little b who talk crap behind your back. 30 years later and I still have trust issues. I'm gay, so I'll probably never have kids. However, if I do, I'll make sure to accept and love them no matter what they turn out to be. Not like my mom, who forced me to see a bunch of psychologists to cure my homosexuality. Hit or teach them violence is okay. I work at a summer camp and this one freaking mom told her kid it was okay to hit people. I feel so sorry for the kid. They were very nice once they understood not to beat people up. These questions always make me think hard, because my husband and I grew up so differently. My husband's parents weren't abusive or cruel, but they were very strict. His father was very controlling and his mother was kind of a pushover, so my husband and his sister didn't really have someone on their side. Both of the parents had rigid expectations of the kids and were not particularly emotive or supportive, even when expectations were met. They also were not kid people, and so my husband and his sister missed out on a lot of stuff growing up. Regardless, he and his sister have grown up to be incredibly well educated, outgoing, interesting, and creative people. They also rarely have contact with their parents except at holidays. I, on the other hand, had a close to idyllic childhood. I have extremely loving and supportive parents who had high expectations but were willing to adjust those expectations to better match my sister and I's differing personalities. They worked a lot, but both were always there for us and encouraged us to pursue our interests and never pressured us to be something we weren't. We went to great schools and had every opportunity available to us. We have both only ever been marginally employed and I never even tried to attend college. My sister and I talk to both our parents and each other on a daily basis. So who are the better parents to role model for my husband and I, when my husband is the one with the baggage about his childhood and turned out to objectively be the more successful adult, and I have nothing but fond memories of my childhood and have objectively amounted to very little? Idyllic childhood, every time. Trust me, what matters is how you feel as you go about your life, not what achievements you rack up. A diploma ain't worth crap when you spend every day plagued by mental illness and the ever-present void of a happy childhood foundation. To preface, my parents were and are great for the most part, but they let us walk over them with some things. In particular, we were all allowed to quit swimming lessons, or refuse to go in the first place, and have all ended up as weak adult swimmers. Similarly, we were never forced to eat food we didn't like and all ended up with our own particular weird foibles. So I guess in response to the question, I'd be a bit more robust than my parents were in making my kids stick to things that will benefit them later on. But never force your child to sit at the table until the entire plate is finished. That also leads to seriously bad relationships with food. My parents didn't teach me anything about looking nice. I guess they went overboard with the let her be herself, don't discuss her choices. I totally understand what they meant to do and I love them for it, but even today I have no fashion sense. I find it so difficult to figure out what looks good on me, what I should wear with my body type, which colors match, how to style my hair, etc. I was never given any input and I struggle all the time because I want to look nice and classy but I lack any sort of foundation. So I end up making weird choices, being okay with things I shouldn't be and not being okay with things I should be. Every couple of months I have a cry in the mirror when I get frustrated with myself. If my confidence levels are lower than normal, it is because of this struggle. I just wish my parents had, I don't know, given me advice, been more active with me about fashion sense. My parents were the same. I'm now in my 30s and still struggle in the mornings to do my hair and put on makeup. As for clothes, I found a really stylish friend and asked for help. She showed me about 15 acceptable outfits from my clothes and then took me shopping for what I was missing. If you have anyone who's always put together, then just ask them. My parents were never the affectionate types. We didn't cuddle or hug or say I love you to each other. Not only did this cause me to not feel any closeness or affection for my parents, it greatly affected how I've been towards my partners and relationships. If when I have kids I will always want them to know how much I love them. I simply won't have kids. Problem averted. I'll never say the phrase, "I'll give you something to cry about." Whenever I was upset enough to cry, I was threatened with violence for expressing my emotion. I already have something to cry about. Thank you. I don't need you to beat me so can cry more. You have been visited by the comfortable garlic bread of good back support. Subscribe to Updoot Reddit in 3 weeks or never sit comfortably again. You have a lot of time for this one. I understand if you're busy, no rush. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.